Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. The world has been watching as the US presidential race unfolded today, and it is now official that Donald Trump has been confirmed as the 47th president of America. The response has been swift, with global leaders already weighing in on the results. Donald Trump's election is set to have a significant impact on world politics, and with many leaders having voiced strong opinions about him in the past, all eyes are now on how these dynamics will play out on the global stage. Social media, especially X, is buzzing with congratulatory messages from the heads of states across the globe. And here in India, leaders are actively sharing their reactions as well. Adding to the global conversation on this landmark moment, joining us and taking a closer look at these responses and exploring how the historic election is being covered worldwide. Take a look.
Mr. Speaker, can I begin by congratulating President-elect Trump on his historic election victory. As the closest of allies, the UK and US will continue to work together to protect our shared values of freedom and democracy.
En annan risk som finns, det är ett minskat engagemang för Ukraina. Jag tänker inte inteckna det i förväg. Tvärtom skulle jag säga att vi...
トランプ氏の勝利宣言を聞きました。連携を密にしながら日米同盟、日米関係、これをさらなる高みに引き上げてまいりたいと考えております。
我们对美国的政策是一以贯之的，我们将继续按照相互尊重、和平共处、合作共赢的原则看待和处理中美关系。
Guten Morgen. Die Amerikanerinnen und Amerikaner haben gewählt. Donald Trump hat die Wahl gewonnen. Dazu gratulieren wir.
Von der transatlantischen Partnerschaft profitieren beide Seiten. Die EU und die USA sind zwei ähnlich große Wirtschaftsräume, verbunden durch die engsten wirtschaftlichen Beziehungen weltweit.
Most consequential in contemporary history because there was so much at stake. So I think as far as the result and the domestics of the result are concerned, obviously all the projections proved to be wrong.
There will be a lot of good initiatives, जैसे कि free trade agreement or merit-based immigration and military joint exercises.
Very tough on trade. I think he's said that he doesn't like India's tariffs, and that if India is going to impose tariffs on American goods, America will impose tariffs on Indian goods, and that could be a problem for our companies that are exporting to America.
Well, India is very positively looking this development, and if he does win finally, then it will be a very positive outcome as far as India is concerned. It will be a massive victory for him, and it will be a massive victory for India, because his equation with the Honourable Prime Minister is unparalleled, and everybody knows that how his equation with the Honourable Prime Minister.
Why is it historic? For a candidate who was a president, then lost, and now is coming back.
As far as Israel is concerned, meaning we know that he is much more, Mr. Trump is much more supportive of Israel than Mr. Biden is.
First and foremost. So he will try and do whatever is best for the United States. There will be some things in which I think India will benefit, and there will be other things in which I think there will be challenges for India.
All right, so those were the world leaders and in the domestic sphere as well, who have come out and congratulated Trump. But there have been certain speculations that have also arisen, especially when it comes to Russia, where the Kremlin at this point of time has at this point not made a clarification whether Putin is going to be congratulating Donald Trump, because it says that US is a unfriendly country and we are going to reserve our comments up until later. In fact, on your screens right now, you take a look at how the global media has covered the election, and there you have it, Global Times, which is a Chinese state-run media organization. It says China handles US ties based on mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, win-win cooperation, and the foreign minister says as Trump declares victory. Thus far, there has not been a comment that has a statement not been released by Xi Jinping, but his foreign minister definitely coming out and supporting Donald Trump, congratulating him. There you have it, ABC News, the global media reactions on Donald Trump victory, where the ABC News, it says election day 2024, Trump projected to win the presidency. Remember, our ABC News was, 24/7 tracking the elections. There you have it, Dawn, and the headline, Trump the second coming, is what Dawn has put out as its main news point on the website. The Japan Times, American voters in Japan reflect divisions in home country. So that's interesting, the way Japan has covered this election result. On BBC, that's the number one article. That's their headline, how Trump pulled off an incredible comeback. Remember, BBC has also been on the dot covering the elections for the past several weeks, and 24/7 coverage that was also witnessed over there. Al Jazeera, US elections 2024, Arab Americans unite in grief, divided on strategy. So there you have it. Also keeping in mind that Kamala Harris was in fact trying to woo the Arab American voters, not as much of a statement coming forth from Donald Trump during his campaigning time as well. Now, France 24, he said, from convicted felon to president, Trump's wild ride back to the White House. So that's an interesting choice of words that has been used by France 24, not forgetting to mention that Trump has been indicted 34 times and there are 2 felony charges against him. Times of Israel, Trump declares he will stop wars rather than start them after winning the US election. So obviously, while the one war that is happening in Ukraine and Russia, the other one is the Middle East conflict, and an indication made by Donald Trump of how he is looking to stop the wars. This is Kyiv Post, Ukraine's global voice. We look forward to an era of strong United States. Zelensky congratulates Trump on election victory. So that's the big statement, congratulatory message coming in from Zelensky for Donald Trump, and that has been the highlight of the news agency that is covering the election. That's Russia Today, and Kremlin reacts to Donald Trump's victory. And like I said, it's a tricky response because right now President Putin has not spoken about this. He is not congratulated, he has not put out a tweet. There has been a statement that has been made by the spokesperson of Kremlin, and they've mentioned that we are at this point in time skeptical, and we are going to gauge and judge how Donald Trump is going to move forward in building his broken association with Russia, and then come to a judgment. And right now, US continues to be an unfriendly nation, is what Kremlin has at this point in time put out this statement. Let's start our conversation. M.R. Rangaswamy, who is the founder and chairman of the board of Indiaspora. Thank you, Mr. Rangaswamy, for joining me. And how do you react to the global leaders, heads of states who've come out and congratulated Donald Trump? There are far and few in between who have criticized Donald Trump's win to the White House, to becoming the president. And one of these comments that I remember, I was just going through a number of these global leaders and their statements. The Sweden Prime Minister has spoken about how he's concerned that the protectionism policy of Donald Trump is going to hurt the economy of Sweden.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Megha. Again, as an American citizen, I must congratulate the new president, President Trump. The people have spoken here. He's had, looks like headed for a thumping victory, both in terms of his own popular vote, as well as the Senate, and the House hangs in question as we speak. So the American people have spoken in a democratic fashion, and he is the new president. And President Trump has been very candid. He will support and do anything for America and for Americans. So it's very clear to the world what he is going to do and who he stands for and his policies. And the people who work with him all are in the same mode as well. So I think what we can expect is he will do what is best for America and its citizens.
Right, absolutely, and talking about, it's on the table. It has not gone unnoticed. It has not been ignored. But the anticipation with which, or the lack of it, a concern that has been raised by the NATO nations, and what is going to be the fate of NATO if there is going to be financial aid that is going to be taken away by the Trump administration in wake of the Ukraine-Russia war.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big one that NATO and the European Union has to negotiate with President Trump. But I think over time, the local nations there have started paying up more. I think they'll have to pay even more. I think it's going to be really a quid pro quo type situation where they have to pay for their defense. And for too long, he feels that NATO has been subsidized by the U.S. So I think, like I said, in the geopolitical space, there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of relationships being recalculated, reformed. So I think for the first few months, there's going to be a lot of these things happening across the globe. Whether you like it or not, the U.S. is the largest economy in the world. The U.S. has the largest military in the world. So all these have consequences when power changes hands here.
Right, and the big nations in Europe, the European Union, France has come out. Emmanuel Macron and the statement that has come out from his foreign ministry says that it is now time for the European nations to come together and look after themselves. So we cannot rely on the United States of America. Something similar the statement that has come from Germany as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think right now what is going to happen is as people recalibrate how they work with America, it'll be pretty clear to them, what they need to do and how they need to approach the U.S. And same thing holds for India as well. Prime Minister Modi has had a great relationship with President Trump. So on a personal basis, that's fantastic for India. But on the other hand, if India's trade policies if President Trump feels they're not working in America's favor, there will be some changes and some potential consequences as well that India may have to deal with. So I think for everyone, this is going to be new times. And the fact that the president has won, potentially the popular vote, it looks like, and also pretty much the Senate and maybe the House, he has a pretty big mandate from the people of the United States.
Emma Rangaswamy, there are a lot of concerns that are being raised, particularly the higher tariffs, protectionism, talking about, green energy and Trump's, dissuasion from actually providing subsidies and providing incentives to electric vehicles and companies that are running electric vehicles, are manufacturing electric vehicles. How is it going to impact India particularly?
Yeah, I think on the EV side, however, as you know, Elon Musk will probably play a big role in the new administration. And he obviously runs one of the largest market cap companies, Tesla. So let's see how that works out in terms of just the EV business itself. And also, it all depends on the administration. Who does he pick for Commerce Secretary, Treasury Secretary, and so forth? Those will also have a big bearing on how these relationships are done. And let's see who becomes the Secretary of State. That'll have a big bearing in this as well. Is it Mike Pompeo? Is it somebody else? So a lot of this, I think, will shake out in the next couple of weeks. But since the Senate is firmly in the hands of the Republicans, I think the president will get his picks.
Okay. Anit joins me back on the telecast, and then this is going to be interesting. Speculation: who's going to become part of the government, and who's going to be the Secretary of State, and who's going to be the Secretary of Defense, and who's going to take charge of Treasury. What about the names that had been floating even before the elections concluded? There was talk about Robert F. Kennedy. There was talk about Elon Musk. Do you think these leaders are likely to get space in the government run by Donald Trump?
Yeah, I think they have a very good chance to do that. I think he has come out and said that they will play key roles. And even some Indian Americans will have key roles, like Vivek Ramaswamy. I expect that he will get a very good position in the administration. And who knows, even Nikki Haley might have a role as well. So I think in terms of the Indian American community, there have been several vocal supporters of the president. I think they'll be rewarded with good positions as well. So I think, in terms of the Indian American community, I think you'll see people in key positions and key people in the administration itself.
Okay. Annette Bernstein, you want to take that question? Again, if you were to conjure up names and just think, how is Donald Trump's cabinet going to look like?
Personally, let me tell you that I'll be very happy to see Nikki Haley in the government. And from very subjective reasons, she is a big supporter of Israel. And the way she spoke in the past few months about the conflict here, it means that she understands the complexity of the problem in the Middle East. So I look forward to having her in Trump's new administration. If we go back to the former administration of Trump, in his previous post, they know the job, they know how to deal with Israel, they know well Mr. Netanyahu. In Israel, the public opinion is that Trump is good for Israel. He actually promised that the war will stop once he is in power, and he also added that if he was the president, if he were the president, the war wouldn't have started at all. So in Israel, we really look forward to see Trump's intervention, not saying that Biden and Mrs. Harris were not good during this situation and supportive, but Trump definitely has promises, which I also hope that he will fulfill them towards Israel.
Okay, Annette, talking about Trump, and he's been much more aggressive than the Democrats under the Joe Biden administration, because Trump went out and said very blatantly, openly, he told Netanyahu to go bomb the Iranian nuclear sites and the oil fields. Is this judicious?
So people, when they are president, they talk differently. When they are out of the White House, they can talk, go and bomb them. But now when the presidency will be on his shoulder, I'm sure that he will speak more responsible and will not be running to bomb everything. We are in Israel under attack from all sides, especially from Iran, and we definitely need the support of the US. And Trump showed his support during his former administration, whether he declared the Jerusalem the capital of Israel or declared the Golan Heights to be part of Israel, and many others activities that he did. So we are optimistic here that the support from the US and the close ally between relations between Israel and the US will continue during the upcoming 4 years.
Okay.
To add something that we spoke about Trump, like in India that says India first, I'm sure that Trump will be America first. So this is the line that he is going to take no matter to which direction, whether it's to NATO, Russia, to India, and also to Israel. This is something that we need to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Ambassador Veena Sikri, your perception of how global media has covered the American elections, and how global readers have responded.
Amount of interest in this election, because it is in fact one of the most consequential events in contemporary history, because it has been a very polarized society in America, and the whole way in which the elections, the candidature of Vice President Kamala Harris came about after President Biden was more or less asked to step down by his party members. It created a lot of hype and a lot of interest in the election, and also the programs, the manifestos, the ideas of the two presidents, the two presidential candidates is so different that really the victory of President Trump is a mandate for him to now carry out his manifesto. And the first part of his manifesto is about ending the two conflicts in Ukraine and in Israel. And I think that this is the first focus that he's going to have, and I'm sure that even the selection of his administration about the people, he will try to make it as broad-based as possible, and certainly people like Nikki Haley and R.F. Kennedy Jr. and others will be with him because he wants this broad base of support for what he does, and he's going to try and end the wars. But he's also going to try and end the wars because he does not want this continuous outflow of finance to them, and he wants to bring the American economy back on track. And I think, and the last 4 years have been one of inflation and difficulties in people fulfilling their needs and requirements, whether it is healthcare or jobs. And I think that with his focus on the economy, that is why he needs people like Elon Musk with him, the big boys who will then support whatever he is planning to do for the economy. And I think, of course, when you look at America bringing back their role in the world economy, the role of China comes in. I mean, they're going to, be a lot of restrictions on China. President Trump had already started this process in his first term between 2016 and 2020. It was interrupted somewhat, and now he's going to be back on track again. I think world security is going to be very much on his mind. I think Quad is going to get a big revival again.
Okay.
And in 2025, we're looking at the Quad Summit in India, which is a very important event for us. I think India is looking forward very much to the presidency of President Donald Trump. We've had, in the last year or so, a great deal of question marks and difficulties with the Biden administration, and we look forward to a very smooth enunciation of the common shared interest. On trade and so on, yes, there will be problems, I'm sure. There's no such thing as agreeing 100%, but the idea is to discuss the issues and work out something that is mutually beneficial and brings about a trust between the people. We know that, for President Trump, his own internal economy, bringing jobs, bringing investment back from China is very important. But for defense, building up defense preparedness of India and technologies, exchange of technologies, the ICET, the Initiative for Critical and Emerging Technology, that's very, very important. We would like those technologies to come to India. We would like America to make in India, not only for sending to America, but for the world. So I think it's a very important point. The next, I'm sure, few weeks are going to be spent in hearing how President Trump plans to carry out his implement his manifesto.
Okay. Yeah.
It's important because he has legacy issues also to think about. So it will be very
right. Absolutely. All right. There are at this point in time a lot of anticipation. There are a lot of hopes, but there are also a lot of concerns, and particularly when it comes to trade, when it comes to tariffs, when it comes to H-1B visas, when it comes to immigration strong protocols that are going to be utilized by the Trump administration once he comes to power. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, and thanks for watching NewsX.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.